Girlfriend texted, "Polyamory is not a phase, accept it or lose me." My response? Changed locks and forwarded her message to her religious parents. Suddenly, her core identity became a complete misunderstanding, while she frantically screamed outside my door. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. I never thought I'd be sharing my relationship drama on Reddit, but here I am. I'm Mike, 31, architectural designer at a sustainable development firm in Seattle. Been creating eco-friendly building plans for 7 years. Finally making decent money, $105,000 after years of living on a shoestring budget. I'm not rich by any means, but comfortable enough to have bought a decent one-bedroom condo last year before the market went totally insane. So I'm sitting at my drafting desk yesterday, finalizing these nightmare sustainability compliance documents when my phone buzzes. It's Brittany, my girlfriend of 3 years. We've been living together at my place for the last 14 months, and I thought things were solid. She's 26, works part-time at this fancy boutique downtown, like 25 hours a week max, and dabbles in influencer marketing on Instagram. Basically posts pics of overpriced coffee and clothes she can't afford. Her parents still pay her phone bill and car insurance. The text reads, "Mike, we need to talk. I've been doing a lot of self-discovery lately and realized my polyamory is not a phase. It's who I truly am inside. You need to accept it or I'm gone. Let me know. Polyamory? What the actual fear are you? We've had all the relationship talks over 3 years. Future plans, kids, boundaries, sex stuff, all of it. Not once did polyamory come up. I'm strictly a one-woman guy, and she always claimed she was the same. She even got jealous when I liked my college ex's vacation photos. I stared at that text for a solid 15 minutes. My brain was shorting out. First instinct was to call and be like, "WTF are you talking about?" But then I reread, "Accept it or I'm gone." That wasn't an invitation for discussion. That was an ultimatum laid down like she was doing me a favor. So I typed back one word, noted. After sending that text, I switched into damage control mode. She said she's gone if I don't accept her terms. I don't accept them. Therefore, she's gone. Her choice, her consequences. Important fact, the condo is 100% mine. I bought it before we even met, put down the deposit from my architectural certification bonus and some inheritance money. She's not on the mortgage, deed, or even utilities. She moved in with her stuff about a year ago and would occasionally chip in for groceries or dinner. But it wasn't a formal arrangement. More like, "I'll grab Uber Eats tonight," or "Here's $60 for the power bill," while I covered the $1,900 mortgage and $450 HOA fees. First thing I did was call a locksmith. Explained I needed an emergency lock change. Guy said he could be there in an hour and would cost $225. Next, I packed all Brittany's essential stuff. Clothes, toiletries, MacBook, chargers, makeup, basically everything she'd need immediately. Put it all in her expensive luggage set, that I paid for last Christmas, mind you, by the front door. I wasn't trying to be a dick throwing her stuff into garbage bags, just implementing the decision she made. Then I did something that maybe crossed a line, but felt necessary. I forwarded her text to her parents. Susan and Tom are super traditional, conservative small business owners who go to church every Sunday. They've always been weirdly supportive of Brittany financially, despite her being 26, and seem to think I was a stabilizing influence on her. If she's making this kind of life decision, they deserve to know, especially if she's about to show up on their doorstep needing a place to crash. I didn't add any commentary, just forwarded exactly what she wrote. Locksmith showed up. Changed the locks. Cost me $239 after tax, but honest to God, peace of mind is worth 10 times that. I was literally just finishing putting Brittany's Sephora makeup collection into one of the suitcases when my phone started blowing up. Susan, Brittany's mom. "Mike, what on earth is this text Brittany sent you?" Her voice was tight, clearly upset. "She just called me hysterical, saying you threw her out of your home. What is happening?" I tried to stay calm. "Susan, I was as shocked by her text as you are. She sent it an hour ago with an ultimatum about polyamory. If I don't accept it, she's gone. I don't accept being one of multiple boyfriends, so I'm respecting her stated decision to leave under those terms." Polyamory? Multiple boyfriends? That's not how we raised Brittany. Susan sounded genuinely confused. "Are you sure? She's saying this is all a huge misunderstanding and you've completely overreacted." I felt a flash of irritation. Classic Brittany. Drop a bomb, then immediately try to rewrite history when there are consequences. "Susan, I can send you a screenshot of the exact text if you want to see it for yourself. There was no misunderstanding. She specifically wrote, "Accept it or I'm gone," regarding polyamory. I didn't accept it, so logically, she's gone. I'm just following through on her terms. There was a long pause on the other end. I'd like to see that text, Mike, if you don't mind, Susan said finally, her voice smaller now. I sent the screenshot while still on the call. I could hear her intake of breath as she read it. Oh my, this is exactly what you said. Brittany told me she was just asking to have a conversation about different relationship styles, not making demands. I'm so sorry, Mike. It's not your fault, Susan. Her stuff is packed by the door, I told her. She's the one who issued the ultimatum, not me. I'm just taking her at her word. Susan sounded totally frazzled. She mumbled something about needing to speak with Brittany again and hung up. Not even 10 minutes later, my Ring doorbell went crazy. It was Brittany, looking like a storm cloud in her $300 sunglasses. Mike, open this damn door right now! What the hell did you do? I just watched on my phone as she completely lost it in my hallway. Mike, this is a huge misunderstanding. My mom is freaking out. Let me in. We need to talk about this. You can't just lock me out of my home. Not her home. My home that she lived in. My parents are going insane. What did you tell them, Mike? Did you show them my private messages? More banging. Then she tried her key, furiously rattling it in the new lock. When it didn't work, she went nuclear. You psychotic asshole, this isn't fair. I didn't mean it like that. You're twisting my words. How else could "accept it or I'm gone" be interpreted? Like seriously? I sat on my couch, her stuff neatly packed a few feet away, and sent her a text. Brittany, your belongings are packed in your luggage by the door. You can arrange a time to pick them up with a police escort if you feel it's necessary. Otherwise, let me know when you and a friend can come for them. I'm respecting your decision to leave based on the terms you set. The banging stopped. Then a barrage of texts, calling me every name in the book, then suddenly pleading, saying I was totally overreacting, and that she just wanted to open a dialogue about her evolving sexuality with an ultimatum. Right. It's been nearly a week since the polyamory bomb, and holy shit, what a week. Thanks for the upvotes and comments. Good to know I'm not crazy for thinking that ultimatums via text are a garbage way to handle relationships. So Brittany did not take being locked out well. After her door-banging meltdown, she apparently went straight to her parents' McMansion in the suburbs. From what Tom, her dad, later told me, they were already deeply disturbed by the polyamory text I'd forwarded. When Brittany arrived throwing a tantrum, they took her in, but things got very tense very fast. Brittany immediately tried spinning it that I had massively overreacted to a hypothetical conversation and was being controlling and abusive. Her father called me the next day, sounding torn. Mike, I've spoken with Brittany and Susan. I saw the text you forwarded. To be honest, we're struggling to understand what's happening. Polyamory isn't how we raised her. She claims you completely misunderstood, that she was just trying to explore her feelings and open a dialogue. I had to set him straight. Tom, with all due respect, her text wasn't ambiguous. Accept it or I'm gone. There was no invitation for discussion. It was a clear ultimatum. I didn't accept the condition, so I acted accordingly. She's telling us you've been unreasonable, that you wouldn't even talk to her after. She says she just worded things poorly because she was nervous. I wanted to laugh. If she wanted a discussion, starting with an ultimatum was a terrible approach. Her things are ready whenever she wants to arrange pickup. The next day, Brittany's best friend Ashley started blowing up my phone. Obviously, she'd only heard Brittany's heavily edited victim narrative version. Mike, you're being such an ass. Brittany was just trying to be honest with you. She told me you completely freaked out over nothing. She's devastated. You broke her heart by overreacting to her trying to be vulnerable with you. She made a mistake in how she worded things, okay? She was scared it would come out wrong, which it did, and you're punishing her for it. You should be more understanding after 3 years together. After her tirade, I just replied, Ashley, Brittany gave me a clear ultimatum, and I made my choice based on that. She's now trying to rewrite what happened. She needs to arrange to get her stuff instead of sending flying monkeys to harass me. Then I got a DM from Tyler, a guy I'd met a few times through mutual friends. Hey man, this is awkward, but I think you should know Brittany's been sliding into my DMs for months with some pretty suggestive stuff. I always shut it down because I knew you two were together. Just thought you should know now that you've broken up. I thanked him and asked for screenshots. He sent them. The timestamps showed she'd been trying to hook up with him while living in my condo, eating my food, and benefiting from my paycheck. The most recent message was just 2 days before her polyamory text. The pieces were starting to fit together. The entitlement went to a whole new level when Brittany texted saying she'd come for her things on Saturday at 2 p.m. Fine, I said I'd be there. Saturday arrives, And Brittany shows up 45 minutes late with not one friend, but with Ashley and Ashley's boyfriend Jake. Jake looked uncomfortable as hell, clearly dragged into this against his will. Brittany marches in without acknowledging me and starts bossing Ashley and Jake around like hired help. Make sure you get my skincare collection from the bathroom cabinet. The Sunday Riley and Drunk Elephant stuff. That's like $900 worth of products. Mike better not have touched it. Then she spots her luggage. You stuffed my things in these bags? Seriously, Mike? My Gucci blouses need to be hung up. Did you even fold anything properly? They're your suitcases, Brittany. The ones I bought you for our Cancun trip. Whatever. This is ridiculous. Jake picked up my PlayStation 5 from the entertainment center. What are you doing with my PS5? I asked him. Brittany jumped in. We play on it all the time. It's basically half mine. No, it's completely mine. I paid $650 for it and stood in line for 4 hours. Your name isn't on it anywhere. Don't be so petty and materialistic, Mike. It's just a stupid game console, said the woman trying to steal my PlayStation. Then Ashley held up the Apple Watch I'd gotten Brittany for her birthday. She gets to keep this, right? Since you're being such a penny-pinching jerk about everything else. Of course she keeps her gifts, I said, trying to stay calm. Brittany then starts going through my vinyl collection, pulling out rare records. What exactly are you doing now? Taking the albums I like. You don't even listen to The Weeknd, and I need these for my Instagram aesthetic. Brittany, those are my records that I collected since college. You're here for your belongings. God, you're such a selfish asshole. No wonder I wanted to see other people. The audacity was mind-blowing. It wasn't enough that she cheated and blew up our relationship. Now she was basically trying to loot my apartment. As they were loading up Ashley's car, Brittany paused at the door. You're going to regret this, Mike. You threw away something special because you're too insecure and controlling. Good luck finding anyone as hot as me with your receding hairline. I didn't throw anything away, Brittany. You did. When you sent that text. And when you were trying to hook up with Tyler for months. Her face went pale. What? Tyler showed me the DMS. All of them. Timestamps included. Funny how your polyamory only applied to you, not me. You don't know what you're talking about, she stammered, but her voice had lost its edge. Tyler's lying. He's been obsessed with me for months. Really? Because he has screenshots of your messages, Brittany. Messages where you initiated everything. Messages where you suggested meeting up at hotels. Messages where you complained about your boring boyfriend who doesn't satisfy you. Still want to stick with that story? Ashley shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very interested in her shoes. Jake was staring at Brittany with undisguised disgust. That's not... Brittany looked from me to her friends, realizing she was losing her audience. You know what? I don't have to explain myself to you. You clearly never understood me or my needs. No, I understood perfectly, I replied calmly. I understood that you wanted the stability and financial benefits of having me while sleeping with other guys behind my back. I understood that when you realized you might get caught, you tried to rebrand your cheating as polyamory to make it seem progressive instead of what it really was, betrayal. And I understand now that you never actually loved me. I was just your safety net. Ashley cleared her throat. Britt, is this true? Were you really cheating on Mike? Of course not, Brittany snapped, but her eyes couldn't meet Ashley's. He's twisting everything because he can't handle a modern relationship. Show her the screenshots then, I challenged. If you're so innocent, let Ashley see the messages between you and Tyler. Or better yet, let me send them to her right now. Brittany's mask slipped completely. Pure rage flashed across her face as she grabbed the last of her bags. This isn't over, she hissed. You think you're so smart, but you've made the biggest mistake of your life. She slammed the door so hard, the neighbor's dog started barking. That evening, I got a Venmo request from Brittany for $350. Memo. Emotional distress and therapy. I declined it with a note. LMFAO. Then another for $75. Memo. My half of Hulu and Netflix accounts. Declined with, accounts were always in my name, paid from my card. Then another for $1,200. Memo. Half of furniture value. Declined with, you didn't pay for any furniture. This isn't over, is it? The sheer audacity is breathtaking. Part of me wants to laugh, part of me is exhausted, but I'm also weirdly calm now. She's shown her true colors and they're uglier than I ever imagined. Just when I thought the Brittany saga was winding down, things went completely nuclear. But I gotta say, the ending is pretty damn satisfying in a karma's a bitch kind of way. So after the disastrous move out and her ridiculous Venmo requests, Brittany was still at her parents', and things were apparently deteriorating fast. The polyamory explanation was falling apart under scrutiny. The first sign of escalation was an email from my condo association, a formal complaint against ME. It alleged consistent domestic disturbances and concerning behavior, specifically citing the night I changed the locks, when she was the one having a public meltdown, and the day she moved out, when she and her friends were trying to steal my stuff. It suggested I was potentially dangerous to the community. My jaw hit the floor. She was trying to get me in trouble with my HOA, could potentially affect my property value and standing in the building. I immediately called Lisa, the condo board president. Thankfully, Lisa knows me. I'm the quiet architectural designer who pays HOA fees on time and helps elderly neighbors with their Wi-Fi. I calmly explained everything. Girlfriend sent ultimatum. I accepted her terms. She created a scene outside my door, which my Ring camera recorded. And then she was the one causing drama during move-out. I offered to show Lisa the doorbell footage and the original text. I've already had 2 very dramatic phone calls. One from a hysterical young woman claiming you illegally evicted her, and another from an older woman claiming to be her mother, Lisa admitted. They were both making some serious allegations about your character and behavior. I have to document all complaints, but honestly, their stories didn't add up and seemed crafted to cause you problems. There was no eviction, legal or otherwise. She's not on any paperwork. She issued an ultimatum, and I accepted the terms she set. I have the exact text, Lisa. If you could forward me that text and the video footage, that would help put this matter to rest. I'll send it over right away. I'm sorry you got dragged into this mess. Don't apologize, Lisa replied, her voice softening. Between you and me, that young woman seemed very manipulative. She kept changing her story when I asked direct questions. First, she claimed she lived here for 2 years and paid half the mortgage. Then when I mentioned I had records showing you bought the unit before that, she suddenly misspoke and changed her timeline completely. That sounds like Brittany, I sighed. And her mother was intense. Kept saying how her daughter was such a good Christian girl who would never lie, while also threatening to sue the entire HOA for emotional damages. It was quite the performance. I grimaced. Susan's usually more level-headed than that. I think Brittany has been feeding her a lot of misinformation. Well, send me what you have, and we'll get this sorted. And Mike, document everything going forward. People who make false complaints rarely stop at just one. I sent everything, and the complaint was dismissed 2 days later. Brittany's attempt to damage my reputation failed spectacularly, but the real bombshell dropped a week later when Tom, Brittany's dad, called me. He sounded defeated and genuinely embarrassed. Mike, Susan and I owe you an apology. For what? The polyamory thing. It wasn't the whole story. Brittany's been having affairs. Multiple men. For months. My stomach dropped. This was worse than I thought. Susan had gotten suspicious after Brittany kept changing details about the text and my reaction. She borrowed Brittany's iPad that they had paid for, while Brittany was napping and found everything. Dating apps, messages, explicit photos, hotel receipts. According to Tom, Brittany had at least 3 side guys. A married executive from her boutique, Jason, 42, some wannabe DJ promoter, Zach, 28, and a personal trainer at her gym, Derek, 34. The plan was apparently for the executive to leave his wife, then Brittany would dump me for him since he made real money. His words in the texts. But he was dragging his feet on leaving his wife. The polyamory text was Brittany's Hail Mary attempt to have it all. Keep me as the stable backup while openly seeing these other guys. When I immediately called her bluff and changed the locks, her entire scheme imploded. The polyamory angle was just a desperate attempt to rebrand cheating as something progressive and enlightened. My head was spinning. The vague ultimatum, the immediate backpedaling, her frantic claims of misunderstanding when faced with actual consequences. It was all calculated manipulation. Tom, I appreciate you telling me this. I'm sorry you and Susan had to find out this way. She lied to us constantly, said you were controlling and misinterpreted her intentions. Susan is devastated. We didn't raise her this way. Then came the icing on the karma cake. After confronting Brittany with evidence, Tom and Susan discovered she'd been using their credit card for hotel rooms to meet these men. Over $3,000 in charges at mid-range hotels around the city. They'd thought she was having girls' weekends with friends. They cut off her credit cards, removed her from their family phone plan, and told her she couldn't stay with them unless she got actual full-time employment and entered therapy. Brittany went ballistic, accused them of betrayal, packed her bags, and said she was going to stay with Ashley. Tom, I know this is difficult, but you and Susan are doing the right thing, I said. Enabling her behavior won't help her in the long run. I know, he sighed. We've been enabling her for years, if I'm honest. I thought she'd outgrow the entitlement, but instead, this happened. The things she said to Susan when we confronted her, Mike. I've never heard such cruelty from my own daughter. What do you mean? She told Susan that we were pathetic, controlling religious freaks who were jealous of her lifestyle. Said we wasted our lives in a monogamous prison, and she pitied us. Then she screamed that we never loved her and only cared about appearances. His voice broke. 26 years of sacrificing everything for her, and that's what she thinks of us. I didn't know what to say. The Brittany I'd known could be selfish and manipulative, but this level of cruelty toward her own parents was shocking even to me. The worst part is, Tom continued after collecting himself, we found evidence she's been stealing from us for years. Small amounts from Susan's purse. Items from our home that mysteriously disappeared and were probably sold. Even some of Susan's jewelry that we thought was misplaced. It's like we don't even know who our daughter is anymore. After we hung up, I sat in silence for a long time, processing everything. The Brittany I thought I knew had never existed. The woman I lived with for over a year was just a carefully crafted persona designed to extract maximum benefit with minimum contribution. The real Brittany was someone I'd never truly met, and frankly, never wanted to. 3 days later, Ashley's boyfriend Jake, the uncomfortable guy from move-out day, texted me, "Hey man, FYI Brittany got kicked out of Ashley's place too. She was hitting on me when Ashley wasn't around, ate all their food, ran up their utilities, and wasn't pitching in a dime. Ashley found her going through her closet trying on expensive clothes. Just thought you should know you dodged a nuclear missile." When I woke up the day after hearing about Brittany getting kicked out of Ashley's, I had this weird sense of closure starting to form. But there was still more drama to unfold. Because with someone like Brittany, the story is never quite finished. I decided to take a day for myself and went hiking at Discovery Park. Something Brittany always complained about because it ruined her hair and was too much walking. The fresh air and solitude felt incredible after weeks of chaos. For the first time in days, I could actually think clearly about everything that had happened. While taking a break at one of the viewpoints overlooking Puget Sound, I received an unexpected call from Megan, one of Brittany's former co-workers at the boutique. We'd met a few times at work events, but weren't really friends. "Mike? Hey, I hope it's okay that I called. Ashley gave me your number. There are some things you should know about what was happening at the store." My stomach tightened. "Go ahead. I'm listening." "So, Jason, the married executive? He wasn't the only one at work Brittany was involved with. There was also the regional manager, and even the owner's son. She was basically sleeping her way through management." "Jesus," I muttered. "Did everyone know?" "Most of us suspected, but she was careful. The thing is, she was constantly bragging to me and a couple other girls about her perfect setup, how she had this stable, boring boyfriend who paid for everything while she got to have fun with real men." Each word felt like a knife, not just because of the betrayal, but because of how calculated it all was. "She called me boring?" I asked, though I don't know why that detail stuck out among everything else. "All the time. Said you were predictable and safe, but totally clueless. She actually showed us your credit card statements once, laughing about how you never questioned the charges." I remembered those statements. Small purchases here and there that never seemed worth investigating. Turns out they were gifts for her side guys. "There's more," Megan continued hesitantly. "The day before she sent you that polyamory text, she was showing off this expensive watch that Jason bought her. She told us it was time to upgrade, and that the polyamory thing was her exit strategy in case the Jason situation fell through. The calculated cruelty of it all was staggering. This wasn't just cheating, it was a meticulously planned con. Mike, I'm telling you this because what she did was wrong. Many of us felt uncomfortable with how she talked about you, but we didn't know how to reach out. When we heard what happened with the ultimatum and how you handled it, honestly, we were impressed. She never expected consequences." I thanked Megan for the call and sat on that cliff edge for another hour, processing everything. The betrayal hurt, obviously, but there was also this growing sense of relief. I'd escaped something far more toxic than I'd initially realized. When I got home, there was an envelope slipped under my door. Inside was a letter from Mrs. Kowalski, my 78-year-old neighbor who lived across the hall. In shaky handwriting, she explained that she'd overheard multiple arguments where Brittany was verbally abusing me when she thought no one could hear. Mrs. K had been concerned for months, but didn't know how to bring it up. "Young man, I've lived long enough to recognize a manipulator when I see one," she wrote. "That girl would be syrupy sweet in the hallway. Then I'd hear her through the walls screaming at you for the smallest things. I'm glad she's gone. You deserve peace in your own home." I sat with that letter for a long time, remembering all the small incidents I'd excused or minimized. The public criticisms disguised as jokes. The way she'd subtly put me down in front of friends. The constant comparisons to more successful men. All classic manipulation tactics I'd been too close to see clearly. The next day, I decided to take action to protect myself. I gathered all the evidence I had, the text messages, the ring footage, the testimonials from friends and neighbors, and met with a lawyer friend for coffee. He confirmed what I already suspected. I needed to document everything in case Brittany tried to escalate further. She's already attempted to damage your reputation with the HOA, he pointed out. People like this often don't stop until they've exhausted all options for revenge or extortion. He helped me draft a formal cease and desist letter, outlining the harassment and defamation attempts, with a clear warning that any further contact or attempts to damage my reputation would result in legal action. Meanwhile, the fallout in Brittany's life continued. Through mutual connections, I learned that Jason's wife had filed for divorce after discovering the affair, specifically naming Brittany in the paperwork. The boutique had fired her once the full extent of her workplace relationships came to light, and according to Ashley, who had reached out to apologize for believing Brittany's lies, she was couch surfing and frantically trying to rebuild her influencer brand. But sponsors were dropping her after discovering her manipulative behavior. The polyamory text that had started it all now seemed almost comical in its transparency. It wasn't about sexual or emotional freedom. It was just a last-ditch effort to maintain her comfortable living situation while continuing her affairs. When I didn't play along, the house of cards collapsed. Just when things were starting to feel normal again, my peace was interrupted by an unexpected call at nearly midnight on a Tuesday. Unknown number, but I had a feeling I knew who it was. "Hello?" I answered cautiously. "Mike?" It was Brittany, her voice thick with emotion. "Mike, I need to talk to you." "It's midnight, Brittany. What do you want?" "Everything's falling apart," she said, her words slightly slurred. "Jason's getting divorced and blames me. His wife went crazy. She called the store owner and got me fired." "Fired, Mike. Actions have consequences," I replied flatly. "My parents won't help me anymore. Ashley kicked me out. I've been staying on Zach's couch, but he wants me gone by Friday because his new girlfriend doesn't like it. What am I supposed to do?" "Not my problem. I have $237 in my account. $237. Do you know how expensive apartments are? I can't even afford the deposit." "Again, not my problem," I repeated. "You lived with me for a year. You can't just throw me away like garbage. I made a mistake, okay? A stupid mistake. Why are you being so cruel?" I took a deep breath. "Brittany, you cheated on me with multiple men for months. You gave me an ultimatum. You tried to steal my belongings. You filed false complaints about me. You tried to ruin my reputation. This isn't cruelty. This is karma. I need help, Mike. Just let me stay in your spare room until I figure things out. I won't bother you, I promise. Please, I'm desperate." "No." "Why not? After everything we've been through together. I still love you, Mike. I made a terrible mistake and I recognize that now. People deserve second chances." The audacity was breathtaking. "You didn't make a mistake, Brittany. You made hundreds of deliberate choices day after day, week after week, to deceive and manipulate me. That wasn't a mistake. That was a calculated strategy. You're still angry, I get it," she pleaded, changing tactics. "But you're a good person, Mike. A kind person. Do you really want me sleeping on the street? Is that who you are? Don't try to guilt me. Your current situation is entirely of your own making. You had a stable home with your parents and you chose to throw that away too. They're being completely unreasonable. They want me to get some boring office job and go to therapy 3 times a week. They're treating me like a child. No, they're treating you like an adult who needs to face consequences." She started sobbing. "What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear? I'm sorry. I don't want anything from you except to never hear from you again. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Seeing me suffer? Does it make you feel like a big man? Goodbye, Brittany." I hung up and blocked the number. The next day, I received desperate messages from her on every platform. Email, LinkedIn, even my work Slack. How she got that access, I have no idea. Each one more pathetic than the last, begging for money, a place to stay, even asking if I could co-sign for an apartment. One particularly disturbing email caught my attention. "Mike, if you don't help me, I might have to do something desperate. I can't live like this. Do you want that on your conscience? Because it will be your fault if something happens to me." This emotional manipulation and thinly veiled threat pushed me over the edge. I forwarded it to my lawyer friend, who immediately recommended filing for a restraining order based on the pattern of harassment and the implicit threat. "This is textbook emotional blackmail," he explained. "The fact that she's escalating to these kinds of threats after you've clearly cut contact is concerning. We need to document everything and establish legal boundaries now." I blocked her everywhere and filed a harassment report with local police, just to start a paper trail. That evening, I got an unexpected visitor, Ashley herself, looking exhausted and stressed. "I'm sorry to just show up, she said when I opened the door, after checking the peephole carefully. But I needed to apologize in person and warn you about something. I invited her in cautiously, keeping the conversation in the living room. First, I'm so sorry I believed Brittany's lies, she started. She made you sound like this controlling monster, but now I see she was projecting her own issues onto you. What happened after she stayed with you? I asked. Ashley shook her head in disbelief. It was a nightmare from day one. She acted like Jake and I were her personal servants. Ate our food, used my expensive skincare products without asking, borrowed my clothes and returned them stained. She was constantly on her phone setting up dates with different guys, then would get ready using all my makeup and perfume. Sounds like Brittany, I commented. The final straw was when I came home early from work and found her going through my jewelry box. She claimed she was just admiring my stuff, but later I noticed my gold bracelet was missing. When I confronted her, she flew into a rage, called me paranoid and jealous, and stormed out. The bracelet mysteriously reappeared in the bathroom the next day. Ashley looked down, embarrassed. But Mike, that's not why I'm here. She's been saying some really concerning things about you, claiming you abused her, stole her money, even that you have videos of her you're threatening to release. It's all lies, obviously, but she's telling anyone who will listen. My stomach dropped. She's trying to destroy my reputation. Exactly. And after what happened with me and Jake, I'm worried she might try something more extreme. Just be careful, okay? Document everything. Watch your back. 3 days later, Tom called again. Mike, Brittany showed up at our door at midnight, crying hysterically. Said she's homeless and broke. Susan's heartbroken, but we're standing firm. She can only come back if she agrees to therapy, gets a full-time job, and follows our rules while under our roof. Stay strong, Tom. This is rock bottom for her, but maybe she needs that. We've already got calls from collection agencies. Apparently, she has over $15,000 in credit card debt we didn't know about. Designer clothes, luxury makeup, hotel rooms for her affairs. We're not bailing her out this time. That's the right call. I hung up feeling a strange mix of emotions. Vindication, sadness for her parents, and finally, genuine relief. The Brittany chapter of my life was closing, and I was ready to turn the page. It's been 3 months since the polyamory text that changed everything. I wish I could say the drama ended completely after Brittany's midnight meltdown, but she made a few more desperate attempts to insert herself back into my life. Each one was met with silence and additional documentation for the growing file my lawyer was keeping. The most surprising turn came last week when I received a hand-delivered letter from Brittany. Unlike her previous communications, this one wasn't filled with accusations or pleas for help. It was an actual apology. Mike, I've been in therapy for 2 months now. My therapist doesn't know I'm writing this, but I needed to tell you that I understand now what I did. It was manipulative, selfish, and cruel. You didn't deserve any of it. I'm not asking for forgiveness or another chance. I know those bridges are burned. I just wanted you to know that I'm facing my issues and trying to become a better person. What I did to you was wrong on every level, and I'm truly sorry. There was no request for a response, no subtle hint at reconciliation, just an acknowledgement of wrongdoing and a simple apology. Whether it was genuine or another manipulation tactic, I couldn't be sure, but it didn't matter anymore. I had moved on. As for me, I'm doing great. Changed all my passwords. Took a fantastic solo trip to San Diego for a long weekend. Reconnected with friends Brittany didn't like, red flag I ignored. Even went on a casual date with a landscape architect from another firm who loves hiking and actually pays for her own stuff. The apartment feels cleaner, more spacious, more mine. My bank account is already recovering without Brittany's constant drain. I look back at our relationship and see all the warning signs I missed. The entitlement, the selfishness, the manipulation. Never again. Sometimes the trash takes itself out, and sometimes it just needs a little push. Thanks for reading, Reddit. Feels good to share with people who get it. Now I'm focused on myself, my career, and finding someone who doesn't think loyalty and monogamy are outdated concepts.